What's up, baseball fans? Today, it's all about Chris Sale's insane comeback season. We're talking about the injuries, the doubts, the trade, the Cy Young, and of course, the World Series ring. The question is, how did he survive it? Most fans wondered if this is beyond ordinary, while most believe it's as a result of constituencies and dedication. So, what could it be? Let's get into it. From his early days as a flame-throwing left-hander to becoming one of Major League Baseball's most feared pitchers, Chris Sale's career has been filled with highs and lows. But the path to greatness is rarely smooth. His story took a dramatic turn when injuries threatened to derail his career. As a once dominant ace, he faced multiple setbacks, including Tommy John surgery and other health issues that sidelined him for extended periods. I mean, back-to-back injuries. It looked like his career was fading fast. But this guy, he flipped the script and put together one of the greatest comeback stories in modern baseball. So how did he do that? And the crazy part, how did he make it look so effortless? Alright, before we go deep, let's get to know the legend called Chris Sale. Who is this guy? His rise in the game is kind of strange. Yeah, it didn't follow the usual script. We're talking about a guy who went from an overlooked high school pitcher in Lakeland, Florida, to one of the most feared left-handers in the game. While all that thanks to a funky, low 3/4 arm slot that made hitters look absolutely helpless. Now, most top pitching prospects, they spend years grinding in the minors before they even sniff the big leagues. But Sale, he wasn't about that slow climb. The Chicago White Sox took him 13th overall in the 2010 Major League Baseball draft, and before the season even ended, he was already mowing down big league hitters. That's right, same year. His fastball was electric, his slider was filthy, and that unique delivery, a nightmare for hitters. By 2012, the White Sox had seen enough. They knew Sale was more than just a bullpen weapon. So they turned him into a starter, and the man delivered. He made his first All-Star team in 2012, and that was just the beginning of a 7-year streak. That's from 2012 to 2018. But for all of Sale's dominance, the White Sox, they weren't exactly winning. And in 2016, we got a glimpse of just how intense this guy was. He was so furious about being forced to wear uncomfortable throwback jerseys that he straight up cut them to shreds before a game. Yeah, you heard that right. That was the breaking point. The White Sox were heading into a rebuild, and Sale was their biggest trade chip. After that, enter the Boston Red Sox, who pulled the trigger on a blockbuster trade in December of 2016. Yes, that added Sale to an already stacked roster. And guess what? He was even better. In 2017, he led all of baseball with 308 strikeouts, finished second in Cy Young voting, and made the American League look silly. Game 5 of the 2000 World Series, the Red Sox were 1 out away from a championship. And who did they call on? Sale. He steps on the mound, stares down Manny Machado, and boom, slider, strike 3. Game over. Red Sox win the World Series, and Sale is the one celebrating on the mound. At that point, he was on top of the world, one of the best pitchers in baseball, a World Series champion, and an absolute workhorse. But as we all know, baseball isn't kind to power pitchers who rely on sheer dominance. And for Sale, the next chapter wasn't just about baseball. It was about survival. Injuries started piling up. His body began breaking down, and soon his career was in jeopardy. Now that's where things got tough. Before we proceed, ensure you subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Chris Sale just wasn't dealing with minor setbacks. He was facing injuries that threatened to end his career. After signing a massive contract extension with the Red Sox in 2019, expectations were sky high. But his body had other plans. First, there was the elbow inflammation that shut him down in 2019. Then in 2020, he underwent Tommy John surgery, a pitcher's worst nightmare. If you're unfamiliar, this surgery isn't just a quick fix. It's a brutal year-plus recovery process that often leaves pitchers never the same. For 2 years, Sale fought his way back. The rehab, the doubts, the frustration of watching from the sidelines while the Red Sox moved on without him. But just when it looked like he was ready to return, more bad luck struck. In 2022, Sale made a brief return, only for a comebacker to break his pinky in one of the first starts. As if that wasn't enough, he later fractured his wrist in a bike accident. At this point, it felt like the baseball gods were testing him. Fans started to wonder, was this it for Chris Sale? And honestly, a lot of pitchers would have walked away at this point. He had already won a World Series, already secured his legacy, but Sale, he wasn't wired like that. Instead of giving up, he doubled down. He changed his training. He adjusted his mechanics. He worked with pitching coaches to find a way to stay effective without overloading his arm. He didn't just want to return, he wanted to be elite again. By 2023, he was still battling injuries, but he managed to stay on the mound long enough to remind everyone he wasn't done. A 3.42 ERA in 20 starts wasn't peak for Chris Sale, but it was enough to get teams interested. Then came the move that changed everything. December 2023, Sale got traded to the Atlanta Braves. Then Boston was making moves for the future. They wanted to clear $27.5 million off the books and landed Vaughn Grissom, a young infielder with upside. The message was clear. The Red Sox were rebuilding, and Sale didn't fit their long-term plans. But for Atlanta, this was a calculated risk with massive upside. They already had a loaded rotation. Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, but Sale could be a missing piece. A lefty with postseason experience? If he could stay healthy, this was the kind of move that could push them over the top. Reactions? Boston fans were split. Some were relieved to move on, others remembered 2018 and felt like this was an unceremonious exit. Atlanta fans? They knew the potential was sky high, but there was one question. Could Sale stay healthy and return to dominance? And Chris Sale? He got exactly what he needed, a chance to prove himself on a championship caliber team. No more carrying a struggling franchise. No more pressure to be the guy who fixes everything. Just a chance to get back to what he does best, dominating hitters. Little did anyone know this trade would set the stage for one of the greatest comeback stories in baseball. And in honesty, Sale did prove it. By midseason, he was putting up numbers that had people asking, is this the best version of Chris Sale we've ever seen? Let me explain that. Right from the jump, Sale knew he couldn't just be the same pitcher he was in his prime. His overpowering fastball-slider combo, still nasty, but he had to evolve, and that's where the Braves coaching staff stepped in. They helped him refine his game, mixing in more off-speed pitches, tightening up his command, and most importantly, reducing stress on his arm. No more max effort every pitch. This was about efficiency, about longevity. Atlanta also played it smart with his workload. No overuse, no unnecessary risks. Carefully managed pitch counts, strategic rest days, everything designed to keep him fresh for the long haul. And guess what? It worked. It didn't end there. Sale came out firing. Game after game, he silenced the doubters. The slider was still filthy, but now his control was better than ever. He wasn't just surviving, he was leading the Braves' rotation. By the time the dust settled on the regular season, his numbers were flat out ridiculous. For instance, 18 wins, tied for the most in the National League. A 2.38 ERA, his best since his absolute peak. And 225 strikeouts, yeah, he did mow guys down. Oh, and did I mention he won the National League Triple Crown in pitching? That's dominance. But let's clear this up. It wasn't just about the numbers. Sale became the guy younger pitchers like Bryce Elder and A.J. Smith-Shawver looked up to. He'd been through the battles, from Cy Young caliber seasons to World Series glory, and he made sure to pass that experience along. His leadership, it wasn't just about fiery speeches or hyping up the team. It was about setting the tone, pushing everyone to be better, creating a winning culture in Atlanta. By mid-season, the conversation had changed. Nobody was asking, can Chris Sale stay healthy anymore? Instead, people were wondering, are we watching the best version of Chris Sale ever? And as the playoffs approached, there was no doubt. Sale wasn't just another piece in the Braves' rotation. He was their ace, their X factor. His 2024 season wasn't just a comeback. It was a statement. And remember that elite talent, when paired with the right adjustments, can still shine at the highest level. And trust me, Sale wasn't done making history just yet. His playoff performance, unreal. When the postseason rolled around, Sale went from great to unstoppable. Every start, lights out. NLDS, NLCS, World Series, it didn't matter. The guy was a machine. And that Game 5 performance in the World Series, instant classic. 7 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, ice in his veins. That win set the Braves up to clinch the title in Game 6, making Sale a 2-time World Series champion. So, where does Sale go from here? He's got a Cy Young, another ring, and the respect of the entire baseball world. But knowing him, he's not done yet. This comeback isn't just a one-time thing. It's a reminder that Chris Sale is still one of the baddest pitchers in baseball. And that, my friends, is how you silence doubters. If you liked this breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment, and let me know. Where does Sale rank among the best comebacks in Major League Baseball history? See you in the next one. Curveball TV out.